Yeah, sort of this one's as late as it is. I think the source I normally use didn't update the chapter, so yeah, there's that. But with that said, obviously the big thing to talk about with this chapter is just that is like with Wizard, we perceive that Brigandine shares a personal connection to Valkyrie. And honestly, with this being the second reveal like this, it's becoming harder for me to process my thoughts on these connections, believe it or not, because on one hand, narratively, from everything we know about Ziggy so far, and the whole like, and all the like foreshadowing we've gotten with the missing memories of the Starshines and all that, it does make sense that this would be in fact be the case, and that it is very likely that Clown and Killer also share a similar connection, just like the other, just like Brigandine and Wizard. But and it does make sense for Mashima to go this route in order to fill in the gaps of those missing memories. Now, in having said that, though, we also have to assume, again, like I said, we have to assume at this point that Clown and Killer also share a connection with their Starshine opposites, that being Ivory and Hermit. And that's where things get a little complicated for me, because I'm sorry, but like Killer and Clown have proven to be such psychopaths as characters that it's going to take more than just a couple photos in order to convince me of any shared history Ivory and Hermit have with those two. Like, especially after this chapter, I have absolutely zero reason to believe Ivory and Hermit would in any way associate with these guys. Like, missing memories be damned. And, like, again, I don't hate the idea that all four Starshines share a personal connection with all four of the Dark Stars, but at the same time, Mashima is going to have to work extra hard in order to convince me that Killer and Clown were at one point actually good people for me to for me to believe any connection like Mashima's going to have to go with a full-on deep dive into Clown and Killer's histories with Hermit and Ivory in order for me to believe any kind of connection. I don't care how repressed the memories are. If I don't get like a full-on like exploration of what that connection is, I'm not gonna believe it. Unfortunately, I'm just not. Of course, Shiki and right now Shiki does have the right idea, which is that the only one with the answers to these questions is Ziggy. So I'm happy in that respect. I'm just hoping that we get an actual flashback more than we get an actual flashback and not just an exposition dump. That's kind of my one fear about this. But yeah, like I'm sorry. As of right now, I just cannot not believe that Killer. I just cannot believe just the implication that Killer and Clown actually have a connection to Ivory and to Ivory and Hermit. It just seems impossible. With that said, let's talk about the battle between Weiss and Killer in this chapter, or I suppose Killer zombies. Because I'm not gonna lie, the structure of this fight is already becoming my favorite fight in this arc, more than I thought it would be. Because on top of the fact that Mashima went for a very haunted house, spooky, like just very creepy vibe. Just creepy vibe, feel, and tone in this part of the fight. I also feel he better incorporated the comedic tone with the more serious aspects better than he did with the Rebecca fight, simply by Killer taking advantage of all Voice's weaknesses and fears and just regrets and all that, all leading him to follow a sadistic trip down memory lane where he's greeted with what I can only assume is a simulation of his dying mother. And I do like how just the idea that he is being forced to confront this, because I in some ways I guess you could argue he already confronted this past trauma with Dragon Joe. I do still like how he's being confronted with it here, because even if he did find closure with his mother's death after Dragon Joe was defeated, I don't think Weiss himself has ever really moved past what happened either, and I think he still carries around a lot of the guilt and just weight of what happened. So I like how now is that time for him to confront it. At least that's what I believe Mashima's doing here. But again, getting back to the fight itself, I just love how Mashima used this chapter as an opportunity to let loose on his horror side. Because not gonna lie, the whole zombie nurse thing has got to be simultaneously the most horrifying thing and yet the most hilarious thing he has ever done in my mind. Like how he pulled off that simple balance of it being both hilarious and horrifying was just fantastic, and he did it all through the imagery. Like the imagery in itself is one of those things where you freak the fuck out, but when you also look at Weiss's reaction, it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of hilarious too. Like I really just like the balance of this chapter that he pulled off. I also like how even though Shiki is like technically involved in Weiss's fight here, he's also kind of been put off to the side so he doesn't entirely interfere with Weiss's development. Like even though Shiki's involved, Weiss himself is still at like the center of what's happened of the entire fight here. Now, having said all that, if there are any problems I had with this chapter, on top of the pacing feeling super fast, I think the other major issue I have is how little focus the clown fight got in this chapter, or the aftermath of it, I guess. I mean, with Rebecca banished to wherever she is now, I guess I wasn't expecting a lot more focus on that fight, but I was at least expecting Mashima to like establish where pretty much Rebecca is now, or what even happened to her before like switching gears, because it just kind of leaves us wondering exactly what did happen to her. And even if we know she's not dead, it's just one of those things where a little clarification would have been nice. I mean, I guess to be fair, leaving like Rebecca's fate linger like that does better to show just how much of a real threat Clown is, and just the implications of what his power can do as well. But yeah, it did feel like we should have gotten just a little bit more in order to like understand what's happened with her and all that. But again, it's a small gripe. I still it's a small gripe. Like really, that's the only problem I have with this chapter. The rest of it was pretty damn good. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight Moonway, signing off. Later, everyone.